Thank you.
Mr. Leach, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield for questions?
Will the gentleman yield for questions?
Yes, sir.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Representative Bucy. I'm really trying to understand. This is the first time I've been to the back mic this session, and it's because I'm concerned about accurate information. I'm really trying to understand what your position is here. Is it your position that, according to you, because this has not yet occurred in Texas, but has happened in other states, that Texas should wait for it to happen here in order for this legislature to act?
My position, I would say, is twofold. One, this isn't happening in Texas. We're the Texas legislature. We need to solve the problems of Texas. Two, I don't think trans athletes in sports is a problem. And so not only are we, quote unquote, saving
okay, let me stop you there and ask you, are there, in other states, are there biological males that are playing in female sports and women's sports?
Yeah, as I laid out, there are 37 known cases throughout the country in the history.
37?
37.
Okay, so the answer to your question is
that's
yes.
Trans athletes and may
yes,
not all
there
be
are other instances where biological males are competing against biological females. Is that accurate?
Based on their birth, yes, I would say so.
Biological males are competing or attempting to compete against. Okay, let me ask you genuinely. I want to know your answer to this. As I try to wrap my arms around this issue, is to you, is it fair for a biological male to compete against a biological female?
I think if they are trans, you're talking about a trans woman competing against...
Is it fair for a biological male to compete against a biological female?
I think it is fair for a trans woman to compete in women's sports.
Is it fair for a biological male at birth to compete against a biological female?
If they are now a trans woman and have been, yes, I think that is fair. If they are a trans woman, yes. And if we need to solve something, let's look at how the Olympics have done it. I don't have all those details in front of me. Let's look at ways to make sure we keep it fair.
I think that I have a daughter. You have two daughters, correct?
Yes, I do.
And I have a daughter as well, Charlotte. She's 12. And I don't know if Charlotte's going to continue playing athletics. She plays volleyball and basketball. I'm trying to get her into golf, and she might decide to pursue collegiate athletics. She might not. But Representative Bucy, as a father to two young girls, and as a father to a young daughter myself, I'm struggling with this question. If Charlotte does, in fact, continue to put in all of the effort and all of the training, all of the work that it takes to become a collegiate athlete, and she tries out for a team or she attempts to get onto a collegiate team and her spot is taken by a biological male, what do I tell my daughter? What do I tell Charlotte when she comes to me and said, Dad, this doesn't seem fair. This doesn't seem fair that a biological male has taken my spot on the team.
Well, I guess in my example, what I would talk to my daughters about is, I want you to play.
No, her spot has been taken on the team, and she says, Dad, this doesn't seem fair. I want to know from your perspective, as a father to two young girls, what's your advice to me as a dad? What do I tell my daughter in that situation?
I would say it's fair to everyone to get to compete, and I want that trans athlete to be included also. That's what I would say, and we're going to work at it, and we're going to keep trying, and we're going to give our best effort, and we don't always succeed. Just as I've ran for this office and lost before, we don't always succeed.
A biological male that I think you and I could agree that is by very nature of him being a biological male, has different bone structure, different muscle structure. He's faster, he's stronger, he's taller, and he has taken her spot on a team because he is physically able to perform better than she is. But he is still a biological male, and she's a biological female, and she has lost her spot on the team to him. What do I tell her? How is that fair? How is it the pro-women's position, Representative Bucy, to allow men to take women's spots on the team?
Well, I think the dialogue is wrong. We're talking about trans women, not men. I think that needs to be corrected at the top. Two, are you talking about at the collegiate level, or are you talking about the high school level?
Well, I'm really talking about all levels, but this bill specifically applies to the collegiate level.
Sure.
So tell me about the collegiate level.
Well, I think those are athletes competing at the highest level, and they need to compete at the highest level. And if that's against anybody, then compete and earn your spot. and compete at the highest level, and we will come out and we will support you,
But
and you
don't
will
we
learn
expect,
teamwork.
Representative Bucy, don't we expect the rules of engagement, the rules of the sport, of the contest to be fair? Is that not underlying all of our athletic competitions at every
how
level?
is it
Is
not
fairness
fair
not a
for
fundamental requirement for fair sports,
I think
for good sports?
all women, trans women, cis women, can compete together. They can learn teamwork. They can learn camaraderie. They can learn friendship. They can learn how to win together, compete together, lose together, and they will benefit from that. And I don't want to exclude any part of our society from having the ability to compete at that level.
I just
And when
cannot
you go through
believe.
these
I just
treatment-
cannot believe it is the pro-women's position for us to allow such unfairness, such fundamental unfairness, so as to allow biological men to take their spots, to compete against them, to win all the awards, to essentially write them out of fair competition. I cannot believe that is the pro-women's spot. And according to you, there's nothing I could tell my daughter that would help her make sense of it.
Well, so according to me, your daughter, I believe you said, is 12. I have young daughters. We've already banned this, unfortunately, in high school sports, but as someone that's run a high school sports league for 16 years, for the last handful of those years that allowed it, we did not have these challenges. It happened. Teamwork was built. Camaraderie was built. People didn't feel excluded. They felt included, including more people. Having the whole community get to participate was a lesson well learned. And I hope my daughters learn that same lesson. Let's not push people out because they may be better. Let's bring people in and work together, as we do on some days on this floor really well when we work.
Mr. Schaefer, for what purpose?